brand new episodes of Let's Talk Shop, where we get to have a special one-on-one interaction with the creme de la creme of the industry. I am Shiwangi Pathak and I will be your host for today's episodes. For today's episode, we have a very special guest on our podcast show, Mr. Kavan Antani, who is the CEO and co-founder of Indiefolio, an on-demand talent marketplace for a creative professional. Hello sir, welcome to our campus. So let's not get wasted our much of time and we can just directly jump on the question. So my very first questions for you is that what makes the freelancer successful in their life and what are the skill sets that they can have?
I think, of course, good work really defines any creative professional. But if I were to pick one thing which differentiates a good freelancer from a great freelancer is professionalism. Remember, clients and people around you will always prefer working with someone who commits and meets deadlines, who you can trust, who's on time, who picks up calls and is open to feedback, versus somebody who just simply does good work but is tough to work with. So yeah, to sum it up, it's professionalism.
So what are the things that make them apart from that, some of the freelancers that couldn't get successful in their life, that what sets them apart from these things?
I think it is professionalism, right? I think the people who take their work seriously know that you are creating something for somebody else. You are a professional who's rendering a service on behalf of another customer, another audience member. So that would definitely be something which sets it apart, for sure.
So in your journey of building Indiefolio, what are the opportunities that you discover for yourself and what are the things that motivate you to do a move forward in this field?
Well, I believe India is positioned to be a global superpower in the creative and design industry. The way IT and IT outsourcing India is a global hub for that. Design is the next best thing. That's because today if you, for example, take this, right? It's probably made in China, right? Why? Because if you want something cost effective, at scale, quickly, China is the best place to make that. Yeah. Already it's happening, but definitely in the next few years, if you want a globally standard creative product, it will come from India because we speak English, so we can collaborate with the globe, and collaboration is important and creative. And because of various factors, we have a huge pool of talent and we are able to render things extremely quickly for a lot of people. So that's why I feel that's something which is very exciting. And Indiefolio was created on that premise that it's a very unorganized space. A lot of demand, a lot of supply, but the matchmaking is pretty poor. You're not able to identify the right ones, and it's a very referral-driven industry. All referral-driven industries can't scale a lot. So for new players to come to the market, it's very difficult to penetrate the market because you need to know people. We're trying to solve that problem with Indiefolio.
What are the things that you wish that you differently that time and why?
Which I did differently when I was starting Indiefolio. I started this when I was in my 12th grade. So I made a lot of mistakes. I think there's a very boring answer to this, lots of boring answers to this. But I believe I should have been a lot more careful about the first few bets we took. It was something which was a spontaneous idea and we used to just go about executing it. Yeah. But now whenever an experiment or a new feature or a solution comes up in our meetings, we do an analysis of, is it a big market? Can we make good revenue? Predict a 3-year P&L and then really make a decision if you want to go into that. So I think that would be one thing which we had done differently. We would have started doing Indiefolio, what we do today, several years ago.
Okay, so out of my curiosity, I really want to ask this. What is your first client? Like how did you approach them? And
I started as a freelancer, so I'm going to talk about that. My first client as a freelancer was I don't know if I want to name the company for whatever reason, but it was actually a sponsor of my college festival. So what I had done is I used to make a lot of videos, 3D videos for my college, for my college. And one of the sponsors saw something I had done for the event. And they were pretty impressed. So they were like, hey, who's made this? And it turned out to be me. And they ended up hiring me. It's a publicly listed company, pretty big company. So one of my first clients was a big one. So I think I tasted good money, good project and skill in my first project itself.
There is a lot of, a lot of people want to know that when you were doing freelancing, there is like, be afraid of failures, that नहीं होगा, कैसे करेंगे? उसके लिए motivation क्या हो सकता है?
I mean, if you don't fail, what would you know what's success, right? Only because you fail and you're at 0, you know what it means to be at 100. So failing is part of the process. You should not be afraid to fail. And I think we were discussing some time ago that failing fast is the right approach to have. Learn to fail fast and try and not fail in the same thing again, because then that's problematic. So you're not learning from that. So that should be a motivation that everybody's failed in life. Everybody you look up to has failed in life, and that's why they are there.
Unlike traditional jobs, freelancers have a sporadic work with distribution. There's a time they have a multiple projects they were doing, and they have a barely time to breathe in. And there's a time that they could have no projects in their hands. So what is the lean period that could be make a productive ways?
So if I were to, there's a joke in the freelancing world. Every time you're thirsty, you have to dig your own well. Okay? And you have to get out of that rut, according to me. So I want to address that first. So you will see a lot of spontaneity in your revenues and your incomes. But a good way to tackle that is always crack a consistent client who gives you like a retainer. So a way to find that is always catch the big fish first, right? Find a client where, if you're, let's say, doing video or you're doing design or websites, the creation of that website or those videos is DNA for that company, right? So you know that there's recurring work on a daily basis. If you find a company like that, you should build them in a way where your fixed costs are always covered with that. And you go all out with them, right? 50 to 60% of your bandwidth, the amount of time you have, you invest into that one client. The remaining 40% is when it could, be fixed projects, temporary things you do based on what comes in. So that's a good way to solve that, well problem I was talking about before. But to answer your second part of the question, that what if there is a time where you are not, doing anything? There are two things you could do. Upskilling, okay? As a designer, you will have 3 clients. You're doing websites for them. You learn how to make videos. You can upsell a video content piece to them in the future. It's like they already have trust in you. Sorry?
It's like enhancing your skills.
Enhancing your skill, right? Absolutely. And second thing is branding yourself, right? If you just made a video, create content around it. Make a reel. Even if it gets 10 views, it does not matter. Document your work. Put it on a reel. Put it on your LinkedIn and create content. That will give you more clients in the future. So I hope that answers the question.
This is a very great answer that I can hear. So this is my last question for this podcast. And how do you go about planning your retirement being a freelancer?
I think for anybody, invest, according to me, invest into various things that will compound by the time you're 30, especially at our age. It'll triple probably if you start investing today, even if it's 1,000 rupees a month. So that will definitely help you. But specifically for a freelancer, I think there's one route for you to go and create an agency, right? The moment you have a lot of people, you can either double your charges or you can hire somebody. That's the only 2 ways you have, right? So you can scale into an agency and you can make a brand. You will see some top agencies in India today, they sell themselves to a big group and they end up hiring a CEO who handles the daily operations, and they enjoy the profit because they are shareholders, they are the founders. Okay. The other route is you can become an independent consultant. There are people today who I know who are in their 70s and 80s who do 1 meeting a month and they get lakhs of rupees just to give their inputs. So to build enough credibility as an independent consultant, if doing agency business is not your thing, right? When you're an agency owner, remember, you don't design anymore. You do P&L, you do employee hiring, you do employee retention. But if you want to stick to your craft, you can become an independent consultant. Get to a point where you're doing important work, where your thoughts and your opinions matter. That'll give you enough money, you invest that money in both things, and that's your retirement plan. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for being with us here. If you want to see more design-driven content like this, do follow Chitkara University on YouTube and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future uploads. For more updates on the school and information about upcoming workshops and events, do follow Chitkara Design School on Instagram and LinkedIn. Until then, this is Shiwangi signing off.